Hi, Coach Meredith. I'm so glad you're here. You're going to be so proud of your apprentices. And hey, Scotty. And hi, Erica. We've got some on-track team members joining. That's really cool. It's a wonderful way to stay up on what's happening with the on-track projects. Okay. I think we're good to go. Zoe, you think we're good to go?
Yep, we can go ahead and start.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to today's podcast where we're going to connect with our apprentices that have worked super hard in our program. And for those of you who don't know what the apprentice program is, I'd like to spend a couple of minutes and do it justice and share with you the history behind it. So, MX Sports is our partner where we go to Loretta Lynn's every year and many events at GNCC and this week, not next week, this week we'll be in Daytona. And they created the apprentice program 6 years ago. And the reason behind it was so that siblings of racers who have traveled the distance to go to this ultimate race, kind of like the Olympics of our sport, had something to do, right? Because I'm sure many of you out there know siblings. I know my daughter, Allie, came to these races, and many sisters and brothers support a racer. And so Carrie Coombs and Tim Cotter put this together so that these young individuals had something to do, whether they had the opportunity to shadow for event planning, for announcing, a medic unit, perhaps journalism. Obviously, everybody loves photography, videography. And so after the first year, um, we were approached to see if we would like to continue the program. And we said, absolutely yes. Because anything where we can empower people to follow their passion is something that On Track likes to be involved in. So with our team, Coach Meredith and Tasha, they have really worked to grow this program. And I am so proud. I'm speaking about it, but I am not the person or the team that has really developed it. I mean, yes, we have meetings about what can we do with it and we brainstorm, and before you know it, here we are. The things that we talked about have actually come to fruition. So I say that to inspire people too, as far as what your goals are. When you think, how am I going to get to this next step? You should never give up. Just create yourself a timeline and surround yourself with the people that can actually help you get to that finish line. And that's what we did. So here we are, fast forward 6 years later, where we have then continued this program, where we have created an actual curriculum course where you don't have to be an on-track student to be an apprentice. You don't have to be an on-track student to sign up for our course, which is kind of like an internship to all the media arts, to get a little taste of what each area might look like, to see what your interests are. So back in the day when I was in high school, they had CTE, and I know some schools still have that today, and it is like an internship program. This is where we're involved in this moto community, and we've built relationships. My husband and I have been around motocross for over 20 years. So we have these relationships within our sport that when we see that we have developed talent, why not then take it to the next level? So after we created this course, we then divided the apprentice program into like a novice. You come in as a novice, you might be interested in an area, you want to learn a little bit more about that. You are with us at Loretta's under, the mentorship of our program and the sponsors that take on the apprentice, and you grow. And then you come back the next year, you go through an application process. We vet you through that application process. It's not where everybody gets to be a part of this. You've got to show that you're serious about it, right? And there's rules all along the way. And the same for the people that help partner with us to mentor our apprentices. And then you become an expert and a master. So fast forward, here we are, and we're with Master and Experts Apprentices. And I want to, introduce Savannah, Sydney, Zoe, and Kira, and just say how proud I am of all of you for, trusting us, trusting this process, and growing with us, because I believe that life, you never stop learning. I hope I never stop learning. And I know that I'm surrounded tonight by four apprentices that agree because you're continually learning with us. So let's just take a minute or two and go around. I'll start with you, Savannah, because you're next on my little circle here. Just introduce yourself, when you started the program, um, and maybe a highlight that you experienced.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Savannah Reeves. I'm from Topeka, Kansas, and I currently go to the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas. Um, but a highlight of my time at Loretta's would definitely be getting to just like network with everybody and getting to know everyone. It was my first year last year there, so it was just very eye-opening to like see how fast-paced, which we already know is a fast-paced environment, but just to really like be behind the scenes and like get to know a whole lot of like fun people and like awesome people. So yeah.
Well, very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. I agree with you. I think being around net, like-minded people and being in such an environment where everybody wants to be a part of that makes this a really unique experience as well. So thank you. How about you, Sydney?
I'm Sydney Moreland. I am from Crystal, Michigan. I'm actually still in high school. I'll be graduating this May, but um, I started the apprenticeship program in 2022, 3 years ago, and then I do track operations. And one of my favorite moments has definitely been when I got invited to the AMA organizer dinner after everything happens on Tuesday. All the AMA organizers who participated in Loretta Lynn's come together, and I got to sit with Carrie and Amy Ritchie of Redbud, and it was very cool getting to talk to them on a very personal level compared to in the trailer, you're more on a business level. So it was nice to make connections that way.
That was a great opportunity for you. And opportunities like that happen at these events, which I think is so different, you know, and awesome. So thank you. How about you, Kira?
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm currently a junior at the University of Alabama. I'm originally from Redondo Beach, California, but I live in Dawsonville, Georgia now, go to school in Alabama. I started the apprentice program in 2023. That was my first year, and then I came back as an apprentice, or I guess I was technically an expert last year for announcing. And I think a highlight for me was definitely just being in the booth because so many people come in there that are like huge names in the industry. And I mean, you're sitting at a table with like Weech, Kevin Kelly, Wes Kane, and then like you have Jackson who went through the apprentice program and Zach who's newer to everything too, which he's now announcing arena cross. Like it was just a place where you had so many good opportunities to like walk up and introduce yourself to so many different people. That like that was definitely the highlight of both years for me probably.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And Zoe, how about you?
Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I'm the creative assistant for On Track School and team lead for VIP experiences at Supercross. My like favorite experience from the apprenticeship program was just the connections I made because it got me to where I am today. I was a racer and I got to race Loretta, so then to like have the full circle moment to then it get me my jobs that I have today was such an amazing experience. So that's been the best for me.
That's very cool. And it's so interesting that you've got, you're with On Track and you're also at Supercross. It's such a great combination and you do
Absolutely.
it so well. And we're very, very blessed to have you. It was awesome having Zoe actually come on board with On Track with her apprentice experience. So thank you. Thank you for putting this together. It was a great idea.
Absolutely.
So this is just kind of an open discussion. I want to talk about your experiences so that we can share this with potential sponsors and mentors, right? So I want to talk about what was your role and how were you supported? When you look at your experience, let's just say last summer, and you came out to Loretta's, what was your role there? What was the discipline area, whether it was announcing, and we can't even forget that there's mechanics, but there's so many, and there's also AMA efficient. So I know I'm leaving some out, but whoever wants to go first, you can use your little icon if you want to raise your hand, but you don't have to. What was your experience? What was your role? And how did your mentor best support you?
I'll go first. I was a master apprentice last year, and my position was more oversight of the apprenticeship program. I helped in the planning process, the selection of the novice apprentices, and then helping like with checking on the novice apprentices, making sure that everything was going smoothly. So I think it really taught me a lot about like the management aspect, having to be responsible over a group of people, which is very helpful in the real world and has helped me even in my leadership positions today. So
Awesome. Thank you, Zoe.
I can give
I
an
love that. I love that you led the apprentice program at Loretta's. I think that brings so much value because of your experience in that, and it crosses over into what you're doing with the Supercross experience. I love it. I'm sorry. Who's next? I interrupted.
I can go next. I think for me at Loretta's this last summer, I got brought back as the expert apprentice for announcing, like I said. So it was kind of cool to be able to like be part of the planning beforehand, like all the Zooms and stuff we had with like you guys and Zoe and all of that, that like we got to see like a little bit behind the scenes of like the planning part of it all and got to kind of give our input and like help you guys out as much as we can. We got to help with check-in and all the different like events that we do throughout the week. And then I think for me it was kind of cool to be able to just be like a bridge between like the announcers that I had met the first summer and then the new apprentices because I know it's like a really intimidating situation to walk into when you're walking into a booth with a bunch of people who are like professionals that have been doing this for like ever and ever and ever. So I think it was cool because like the first year it would have been really nice to have that and we didn't. Like we kind of were on our own and like had to make our own connections with the announcers. Um so like being that bridge and like being like, hey, like if you guys need anything, like that kind of a situation for the novice apprentices. Like it was like cool to be able to do that because I wish I would have had that my first year.
And that's part of the growth of the program, right? So the fact that you were able to be that bridge, I think, is really important. And I love the fact that there's conversation about the planning and involving you. That's something that we do at On Track and with our teams too. I think it's so important to have input because of your experience, the program can only get better. Thank you.
I'm gonna back off of Kira. Is that okay?
No, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
I was like, so I was with Kira almost the whole entire time, which and it was super like nice to have somebody like kind of just make friends with and not like, yeah, be kind of blindsided walking in that we had a little more opportunity to like have the conversation before of like what to expect. And that was definitely nice. And yeah, having her to kind of break the ice, introduce us. And yeah, it was just awesome, I would say, because in the booth, you come and go as you please a little bit with it. And like once we got a little more comfortable, like when I got a little more comfortable with the guys up there, it was it was a lot easier to like kind of jump in and like talk with them. And yeah, I would just say that was nice. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So last year I was an expert apprentice in event management, and I helped with again the orientation when everyone got there, and like the ice cream social was super cool to see, and taco night, it was all super fun. I will say it was really cool to bring in some of the people who haven't been in the apprenticeship program before. Um, because I was there the day before the apprentices were there, because we have the rotating schedule now where you could do multiple. Um, I was able to talk to some of my mentors about what to expect and what I could do with the apprentices to kind of come in, because when you're doing alternate island like I was and doing registration, it can be a lot if you don't know kind of what you're doing. So being able to guide them like in the right direction and make sure they're having like constructive conversations with everyone, I think was really good. And I think it helped them kind of enjoy their experience a little bit more. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you brought up the orientation, right? Because even at On Track School, for example, we don't just start the students, okay, it's day one, everybody go. You know, there's a orientation process so that everybody, Tim comes out, I introduce the program, Carrie explains the importance. We talk about, you know, putting your hand up if you need help, where do you go for help? And now after 6 years, listen, the first year was a little challenging, right? Nobody really knew what to expect, but now everybody knows what to expect. And the fact that you guys are reaching out to the up and coming apprentices is just, really warms my heart. So thank you for that. Oh, I think we got everybody, right? Okay. Um, let's talk about some connections you've made through your apprenticeship and maybe potential opportunities where you were able to do things outside of Loretta's. I'd like to go first on that.
I can go first if you want me to. So outside of Loretta's, my family's owned a motocross track for a super long time. I think we're going on our 15th year of business. So
Wow.
coming in with the kind of base knowledge of that has been really nice. My first year of the apprenticeship program, making connections with Tim and Carrie was huge. Um, the following year, we were able to actually have a qualifier for Loretta's. So that connection really helped me get through that process and kind of talking with Tim and Carrie throughout what should I expect? What am I going to need to know? Those connections have been huge. And then also being able to learn from Jason and also Amber, who is over on the West Coast over at Mammoth. That's a really big promoter over there, and it's gotten me some opportunities with local tracks and tracks out of state. Like if I travel anywhere, I'm able to work usually at a track of my choice. So that has been really nice for me.
And it's nice that you can really have personalized experience with your background, right? And get exposed to, well, how do these other people work? And I don't know about you, but I feel like I know we talk a lot about moto and I know we have a lot of students in On Track that do other things besides moto, but
Mhm.
I feel like our community is so tight and accepting and it's easy. So that's great. I mean, I can remember, apprentices being privy to conversations that a lot of people don't get to be in the room for. And so
Yeah,
there's
Tim lets you see everything.
yes, yeah, you see everything.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a level of trust, right? Because you are so fortunate, the apprentices, to be in situations where there is this mutual trust, and that I think is a really good point to bring up. Well, thank you for sharing that, Sydney. Appreciate it.
I would say some of the connections I made, my big one was Lindsay Sheltema. She works for the USMCA and then she also worked for VIP Experiences. So she was a really good connection to have when I found and I was looking for jobs like through LinkedIn and whatnot. It was someone really good to know. And then just once getting into the industry, just having more and more people to like learn your name. I didn't come from anything in the industry, so the first year was a little intimidating, but now coming into my second year and doing the apprenticeship program and also working for On Track, like that's always my goal. Like I want to shake as many hands and know as many people as I can, and I feel like the connections you make in this program, like it really does take you far and help you in this industry.
Awesome. Well, I love that you said you want to shake as many hands because that's another thing, right? You've got to put yourself out there. Here's this opportunity, but opportunity, meets experience and then it just can take off. So whenever, you're in a room with somebody like that and you're in a situation, it's so good. And I'm confident that you all have done that. So thank you for sharing that, Zoe. How about you, Savannah? How about some connections that you've made that have been like outstanding?
I would say from Loretta's, the biggest connection that I made would probably be Mikey Waynes, who is announcing. He's like helped me out with a lot of stuff, like school wise. I had some things like where I did an interview with him, which was like really nice to, because it was something a little bit more personal and where I was able to ask a little more like questions about like day-to-day life of like what announcing looks like and like during the week, like races are normally always on the weekends. Like, what do you do? Kind of like that type of thing, which is great to like know and like something to expect in the future because like this is what I want to do. That was super nice. I'd also say with Ray when we went to Georgia for yeah, for that was another big connection that I made. And that race was just super fun. It was great to get to know you guys too on like that personal level and like something a little more like slow paced
Mhm.
rather than Loretta's where it's go, go, go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely the connections and the more people that I'm like getting to know and getting my name out there and that people are like starting to recognize like that, like, yes, like I'm ready to do this. Like, what do you need?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up. And of course, Mikey Waynes and those guys up in the tower are so easy to talk to and so helpful. You got to pick their brains. But you did have the opportunity, along with Kira, to come to GPF because there was a need, right? And then we had this pool of apprentices that had this talent, and the two came together, and it was really a great opportunity. And we do that scholarship race there. And so for On Track, it was like we had the apprentice program, we had the scholarship race program, and of course we had our school. So that was a great opportunity, and you guys did so well. And it's nice to have a little bit slow-paced program to really, wrap your minds around it. And then you were like really in it. It was a lot of announcing, right?
It was
All
super
day
fun.
on the podium.
Right. That's what, yeah. And at Loretta's, there wasn't necessarily an opportunity this past year for like podium stuff. And that's more what I would like to do. So really
Yeah.
getting to be in the middle of it and in the mix, like, was super fun. Yeah.
Awesome. I could see you doing that. Kira, how about you?
Um, well, like you guys were just talking about the race at Georgia, meeting Ray, who owns GPF, and like getting to hang out with like Savannah and like all of you guys for like a week or a weekend, I mean, sorry. It
Okay.
was like super fun, super good connections to make. And then so after my first year, I think my biggest connection was Jace from Gypsy Tales. I ended up talking to him a bunch in the tower. And I got back to school in September, like right after Loretta's, and he had reached out to me and was like, "Oh, do you want to do some like remote stuff for me, like, and like help me get like more organized and help me upload content?" Because he had two guys working for him in Australia, and then he didn't really have any help here yet. So for a while, I worked with him after the first year, and then this past year, I started working along with Zoe doing Supercross VIP stuff, which that wasn't necessarily a connection I made through Loretta's. I ended up getting Chelsea's contact information through TD, but it was also like I had the background of being able to say, hey, I did this 2 years in a row now at Loretta's and I was a novice and then I was an expert and I've announced and like I've made a lot of good connections and that's just a really good like resume builder to have. This program's like something that's super cool to be able to put on a resume because you actually get to say like, hey, I've done like hands-on work, and like you get experience and you have like videos and like proof of the experience because like there's constantly like social media stuff going on all week. And so it's like a really good resume builder to like get you to jobs in the industry, even if you don't necessarily make the connections the week of Loretta's. So yeah, those are my two big things. And now I'm traveling to Supercross every weekend with Zoe. So yeah.
That is super cool. I love that. Um, we've been doing some interviews for Race Day Live and sharing and highlighting. And the last one was Zoe, and she was able to be interviewed by Lurch and up there on the big screen and talk about the apprentice program. So we're really honored and humbled to be a part of Supercross and telling the story. So it is exciting. And now that we have master apprentices, what's next? Well, we're like-minded people, right? We never stop learning, we never stop growing. So we keep thinking about, okay, well, now we need pro apprentices because, when we talked about this at the ranch with Carrie and Tim, we shared with them that, now we're ready to actually help apprentices get jobs, on a more, you know, serious level. It's great, like Kira said, to have that experience behind you on your resume. But how about like we actually find out, well, what are the needs? Because we have a pool and we can tell you, who's up and coming and might be able to fill different positions. So we're really excited about that. I was at A2, I did an interview about it. We were going to, in Daytona, talk about our fundraiser because these programs, when we're at Loretta's and we're doing this because we just love it, we want to help this program grow so that we can help with maybe travel expenses or help the apprentices in certain areas. So, we have a fundraiser that we'll announce when we're at Daytona, and we're looking at grants, and we are looking at registering this apprentice program in the state of Florida. So I'm super excited because then we can actually talk about certification and we can really get like crazy. So I won't overwhelm you right now with that. But speaking of pro apprentice, we are looking at our pool, sharing information with, you know, organizations that we know have needs. And that is a really exciting place to be. So, with that, I'd like to ask each of you, I know what you're doing right now, but I want to know what your dreams are with this. You've had experience, Sydney's in a family business. Savannah's going to school, and I heard podium and I can kind of see her with the mic in her hand. And I know, Kira, you're working on an experiential, you know behind the scenes kind of thing, and I can see you doing that. I know what Zoe's doing. She blows my mind every week with what she's taking on, and I'm really just proud of you, Zoe, for all of that. So I want to know, like, look 5 years down the road, 2 years down the road. I don't know. You guys are super young. Maybe 2 years is far enough, but where do you want to be when you grow up? Just kidding. But what's
I'll
your dream job?
start it off.
Go
Um,
ahead.
I would say so. I go to KU, and there really aren't any tracks in Kansas. Our closest tracks are definitely in Missouri, and that for me is like about 4 or 5 hours, which valid. But we've lost a lot of our local tracks, which is so sad. But anyway, because that's like the tracks that I'd grow up with my dad and my brother. But um, like, so when I came to KU and I was like, this is what I'm trying to do, they were like, oh yeah, we can definitely support you in that. But I was a junior freaking out about what I'm gonna do with my life because I'm like, I want to go into motocross. And then they look at me and they're like, what? And I'm like, okay, thanks. But um, so getting this opportunity was like such a huge deal to me, and like so like kind of groundbreaking because I'm like, oh my goodness, like I have like this is my first step. Like this is like such a great like thing. Like I will always be thankful for like my on track internship for just like opening the door to so many more like possibilities. But I would say, yeah, my overall goal is to be like an on-site reporter for Supercross. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Dreams come true, even in Kansas when there's no motocross tracks. How about you, Sydney?
So because I'm a little bit younger, I'm only 18. My like big goal long term is I want to have the track in Michigan, a practice facility somewhere down south. Like I have very big dreams. I mean, I'm not gunning for Carrie's job, but if it ever became available, I would more than happily take it. MX Sports is like the dream job for sure. I can't forget about my roots though. I will always stay close to home probably, just with the family track. But yeah, but as it's looking right now, I'm gonna go to a university, Central Michigan, and get my special ed degree so I can teach in the off season. Up here, at least, we have an off season because it gets snowy. So I'll teach from October to May and then run the track the rest of the time.
Awesome. I love that. I didn't know you were interested in teaching. That's
Yeah.
awesome. How about you, Kira?
Um, well, I'm farther along than I ever thought I would be right now, to say the least. Being
Good.
able to travel with Supercross already while still being in school is one of the coolest opportunity, not the coolest opportunity I've had my whole life. Um, and I think, I mean, obviously I've grown up around the industry because of my dad and I've been around it for a long time, but to be able to say I have a job like working Supercross is like insane to me. But I think long term, my goal is to, I'm more of like a, my focus in school is more media and like journalism. I'm a sports media major with a minor in hospitality management. And I
Mm,
think I've always dreamed of like doing PR for like a race team or something one day. So that's kind of like end of college, like what I would probably like apply to do. Um, and then after that, I think I've always like dreamed of working for like a sponsor company like Red Bull or something that kind of branches out into like different industries as well that like align with motocross. Like there's MotoGP, there's F1, there's so many other things that take you so many other places. But they're still also like some way connected to Supercross because like that's obviously like I've grown up around it. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like where my head's at with like long-term goals and stuff. But you also never know what opportunities are going to present themselves. So yeah.
that is absolutely true. And you've got to stay open to that. Well, so far, each of you are totally aligned and love that you know. Listen, you never really know the ultimate, right? You have to be open-minded for different paths that cross. But love that you're so focused on on your goals like that. How about you, Zoe? I mean, we know, but I still want to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I went to school for like marketing, promotion, social media. So that's kind of genuinely my passion. I look at it as like I want to help grow the sport from like a media perspective. So my brain is always working on how something could be better promotions wise. So staying in that realm, I do love what I'm doing right now, hospitality and then the social media. I'm 23, so I'm in that weird area where I thought I was like gonna have like these big hopes and dreams, but I'm content with where I'm at and just kind of climbing the ladder at whatever pace that may be. Being on the road is 100% exhausting mentally and physically, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I think it makes you like take a step back and realize how much hard work it truly is. Like it's not the lights and glamour that it always seems like. Very rewarding in every aspect. It's so much better than sitting at a desk or doing anything like that, but just kind of like being in the moment now at like right where I'm at in my age, like just appreciating where I'm at and just seeing where that takes me in the future, wherever that is. Being content with where I am, not always shooting for the future.
I mean, that gives me chills. I mean, it's so there's some people that are way older in years and don't necessarily appreciate being in the moment. So the fact that you're mature enough to say, hey, I'm good where I am right now, and you're 23. I love it.
Thank you.
Before we open it up to questions, I always want to know, what can we do better? What's on Track's report card? And I don't want you to say what you think I want you, don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Where can we improve? Is there any area that we can improve our program, or even tips, for other apprentices looking to join? Let's go backwards. Let's start with you, Zoe.
I think the apprenticeship program has grown so much. I was a part of the inaugural year with MX Sports in, I think, 2019 or 2020, whenever that was. So to see its progress, to be here now with it, is truly outstanding. And to see that it's taking that to the next pro level. I love having the different tiers, because that was support I didn't have when I was younger, and it was very intimidating. Yeah, just continuing to grow it, getting more mentors on board, so that apprentices can really have that hands-on experience in every field. I think helpful. Just more support from our sponsors, more support from those leaders in our industry that are willing to mentor these young kids, because in the grand scheme of things, it's going to help all of us in the long run. But yeah, and then what was the second question? I missed that part.
Anything we could do better, and then any advice for incoming apprentices?
Oh, okay. Advice for incoming apprentices. I would just say don't be scared to put yourself out there. My goal, even now, I was a very shy person growing up as a racer. I tucked away in the trailer, didn't talk to anyone, and now I'm the most talkative person. So just forcing yourself, like, my motto is you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and like pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone. Like, nobody's judging you. Nobody thinks you're weird. Nobody thinks you're silly. Like, we're all trying to be successful in this industry. And that requires like putting yourself out there as much as you can, and working really hard. So
I love that. Great advice. I've always said that to my own kids. If it's uncomfortable, go there. That means you're going to grow. So thank you. How about you, Kira?
To piggyback off of what Zoe said, I think a big thing is like mentors being like more involved, and like um I think just like getting the word out there about this program to the mentors, because I feel like a lot of people don't know what it's about, and they don't take us seriously, because I think we're just a bunch of kids who want to go to Loretta's to have fun, but like a lot of us are actually there like because we want to learn and we want to work and we want to be there like doing what we're doing. Um, so I think that's like a really big thing. But even just seeing like the progression it made in the 2 years I was in it, from 23 to 24, it was like night and day. Like having the tiers really help, having the different like levels, and like also I think beforehand introducing all of us to each other, and like having like a meeting like we did helps too, because you're not just showing up to a ranch with no service. Like I have no clue who I'm going to be with all week, like you know what I mean. So like it's just
Yeah.
like it gives it more of a comfort level of like, okay, like the people I'm going to be with all week is like they're cool, we're all going to get along, we all want the same things. So I think that is something that's like really helpful. And then like getting us in our groups beforehand, like with like your expert or your master apprentice, and like introducing like the smaller groups too. So you have that like one-on-one connection with like the person that's kind of going to be leading you and showing you the way for the week, is something that I think would be really cool. And I know it was talked about last summer, but I don't think it ever really like worked out to have a meeting like that. So those would be like my things. And then advice for new apprentices is, first of all, have fun with everything you do, because the fact that you're even doing this and like you're getting to go to Loretta's and you're getting to learn all these things and work with these people, it's so fun, and everyone loves. That's like the one thing I love about this industry, is that everyone loves what they're doing, and everyone loves coming to work, because it's not just a desk job. Like you don't just sit behind a desk, you're at races. And I mean, like even Zoe and I, every weekend, like we have fun with everyone we work with, and like yeah, it's tiring and it's exhausting, but like it's like you have to make the best of it and you have to have fun. But I think also just shake every hand you possibly can, introduce yourself to everyone you possibly can, make as many connections as you can, because everyone in this industry is open to like meeting you and like meeting new people, and we're the next generation coming up. So like they want to meet us. They want to know the people who want to work and like who are going to take over like for them when they retire. So yeah, just like push yourself out of your comfort zone, introduce yourself to everyone, have fun.
I love that. Thank you. And those are great suggestions. And I'll bring that back to the team and we'll work on that because it'll be here before you know it. How about you, Sydney?
Yeah. So I think I could see the apprenticeship. I know we're trying to like level it up and keeping more like um forms of communication, I think through the winter would kind of be nice just because like I know some people like me are in a standstill in the winter, so like motocross sometimes isn't even on my mind. And kind of having people sharing what they're doing through the winter, maybe like especially the master apprentices, like that are going and working at some of these other events, seeing what they do from day to day could be really helpful, I think, to some of the new apprentices. I think I would like to see that. Like it's very cool. And then I've also thought about doing, I know we're going to do like some of the testimonial stuff, but kind of having each, I guess, master apprentice and what they're doing, like event management myself, do just a small write up about what I go through in a week. So maybe not, I'm waking up at 7 a.m. sometimes, like 5:30. There are some of those wake ups. So like kind of having that laid out and maybe like just a small like paper or something that we could send out once they get their acceptance and stuff, just so they can kind of understand what they're going to go through, I think would be really nice. Just I'm a planner, so I like that stuff. But
yeah,
um
it's a great idea. I like that.
yeah. And then some tips are I've always had the saying that like I mean, in event management, I'm there probably from like usually 7 a.m. till races are over. Like I'm there all day. That's by choice. I love being in there. I could do it all day, every day. But working hard in silence and letting your success make the noise is like a saying that me and my dad have, because you're not always going to be noticed for what you do, even if it is such a big part of what's going on. Um, and just keep doing it, keep your head down. Like you got it, just work hard and it'll come to you eventually, is a tip. And then another tip that I've kind of learned is talk to every single person, like everybody has said, but like get personal conversations. Even if you like think that you might be annoying, you're probably not. They probably want to know. Talk their ear off. I talk everyone. I could talk all day, but I think having some meaningful conversations, especially with, I mean, like we've had a lot of pros come in and talking with them has at least boosted myself. I mean, I've had pulled people from over 18 states to one of my races because of some of my talking. So yeah, I think it's talk to everyone, even if they are a big name, even if they are a racer, get your name out there because they can really help you. I think is my thing.
Very good. I'm over here taking notes in my little journal over here because you guys are so wise. Thank you, Sydney.
One thing I just wanted to say to bounce off Sydney, I like the point you made, like to work in silence, because I know like some people can see us and be like, oh, well, if I do the apprenticeship program for a year, like I'm going to have a job. And I like, it's not that easy and it can be really discouraging. Like when I was going through my last 2 years of college, like my boyfriend can attest, like I would be sobbing every night because I would get these calls and I would have these interviews with race teams and all these companies that are like, yo, yeah, we want you. And then you'd get through 2 or 3 interviews and it would go down the drain. Like, it's not as easy as it looks. Like, just because we have jobs doesn't mean it will come to you overnight. And that doesn't mean to not do it. It just means don't get discouraged in the process because, like, these things take time. It's a very small industry. Like, it takes a while for these jobs to open up. So patience is key. Like don't hear our stories and then get discouraged when it doesn't come overnight. So I just wanted to go off that.
Well, I think that's really important, to have a realist remind us of that fact
I would
because
definitely say that too, because I was like riding this high after Loretta's and then I was getting down on myself. I'm like, well, like, I'm like fiending for like the next thing, right? Like, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? And then I'm like back in this slump and I'm like, I'm doing everything correctly. Like I have to keep reminding myself, like I'm taking the proper steps. We're doing the right things. And just like Zoe said, like even like those things that might not happen, like it all happens for a reason. But I'm like, like she's content in where she's at. And I think that's like great. And you're so like I'm 21, like Zoe 23. So it's like just being so young and already like getting to a place in life where you're like, I really like what I'm doing. And like that's so important.
It is. It is. So how about you, Savannah?
I well, obviously like networking for the program though, like for future apprentices, definitely everybody's already said that. Shake as many hands as you can, talk to as many people as you can, even if it's like somebody like getting to know your other people too was like super nice because I've like realized or like I've followed people and I've like noticed I'm like dang like they're doing really cool stuff too and like knowing them is kind of just like another thing like you might work with them one day so
Right.
I think like that's also important like build relationships with the people you're around that whole week um and then like improvement wise, I know like Kira, we both have brought that up where it's like the assignments to like kind of what Sydney was saying a little bit, where it's like the assignments are like certain things to do just because in the announcer's tower it gets a little slower, like it's not exactly like what we're looking for and like they're busy like they're working which gets a little hard but if there was like certain like assignments to do or like go interview this many riders so you know who you're talking about when they're racing like things like that would be super like fun to do or even like little things in the pits where we like for social media like that we could do for on track would be fun but yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I like that you said get to know your people because not only the people that you see every day, but each other. For me, one of the highlights was watching you guys like come back to summer camp. I mean, you have like these relationships. That's not the best example, but I think you know what I mean. You have these relationships and you can network with each other. You don't have to wait for Loretta's, you know. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate everything that you've shared, and we have such a great audience. I know Miss Meredith and Miss Tasha are here, and they're really a big part of this program. So I'm going to stop talking. I want Tasha to chime in. I know she's got some things to add, and I'm sure Miss Meredith does too if she's comfortable. So go ahead, Tasha. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey everybody, sorry about it's been a day, but anyway, it's so good to see everybody's faces. And I've been so patient in not trying to take away the thunder that you guys are. Oh my gosh, this is such a dynamic group of young individuals. I'm so excited to see that they're all women, not that there's anything against the boys, but I mean, it's just like ironic that it's all these powerhouse females over here. I'm just so impressed. So, just super proud of all of you guys. But what I wanted to say is just a couple of points and then I'll stop talking. Um, this program is so exciting and so special because it translates beyond motocross. I mean, think about the experiences that you gain inside this program, and you can take it anywhere. The medic people, the announcers, you can take this experience, put it on your resume, and go broadcast for a NFL or whatever, and you've got this experience. Same thing with mechanicking. It may be a motorcycle, but and maybe I'm speaking, too soon, but I just think that the experience you're going to gain as a motorcycle mechanic could translate into cars or something similar where you're wrenching and you're gaining that kind of experience. So my point is anyone who's listening out there, don't sell yourself short in the sense that, oh well, I don't race motocross or I don't know much about motocross. And check it out and see how it translates into your world or something for your future. um, the other thing I wanted to say is I know I've heard you guys say that there's kind of a lull, and oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I mean, so many people, and this is like the next step. And I will tell you, it has taken us a minute, to get there. But I totally agree with everything you guys are saying is, you work hard and you let your silent successes speak for yourself. And, sometimes that means that you get overlooked, or your idea or your drive is recognized as someone else's, but you're part of that entire momentum. So you guys are, those oh gosh, what's the word? Like, you're part of that frontier of this next generation of apprentices, and really inspiring them and inspiring the industry at that. Look at, again, Kira, Zoe, Savannah, the experiences that the three of you alone have had from this program alone. And then Sydney, the doors that's opened for you, and the events and the connections that you've made. I mean, you guys are paving the way, and I'm just, hats off to you. So proud of you guys for taking the initiative and being so passionate about what you've done to engage in this, because you could have just shown up and been like, oh yeah, I'm here, this is cool, whatever. But you took it, each one of you guys, and you said, I'm going to do something with this. And you are. So it'll come, it's all about timing, and it's all about, it will happen when it's supposed to happen. But what I'm trying to get to, and sorry, sometimes I get very long-winded and passionate about things like this that I'm passionate about, but companies are contacting us now. So what you guys are doing, especially over the past few years, and every year it gets better. Every year you guys come up with, or the group comes up with an amazing feedback and ideas and things that we want to implement. And it doesn't always go the right way. And sometimes it goes even better than we anticipated. But it's all about progress. And we've got people contacting us saying, okay, we need your help. What are we going to do? We need commitment. We need dedication. We need loyalty. We need hardworking people that are dedicated and passionate about this sport, so that we can basically hand the keys off to them at a later date and keep our momentum in this sport. And that's who you guys are. So my point is, they want to see the apprentice program on these resumes. They're looking for that now. We've talked to probably 3 different companies Andrea and I have together. And when we tell them about what you guys are doing, we're bragging about all the things that you guys are accomplishing and what we're seeing you do just in a week. I mean, how impressive is that? That's a huge statement to say that some of you guys have come and we've only met you and worked with you for a week, and you've made such a lasting impression. And for the ones that have been there and stuck with it, through the development of where we've gotten today, is just as, if not more impressive, to say, I'm part of this. I've helped this program grow to where it is today. But they want to see that on I'm sorry about the background noise. They want to see that on their resumes, and they're looking for that. So it's like a stamp of, wow, this is the real deal. They've gone through this program. They are passionate about this sport, and they're the true future of this sport and beyond. So again, sorry for my passionate speech, but I'm just so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of our team, Meredith, Zoe, Andrea, everyone on our team that comes to Loretta's that touches this program, that's a part of this program, regardless if they're intimately involved in the planning and the execution, or if they're just there to support you guys. And hey, I don't know the answer, but hang on, I'm going to track down somebody and get you the answer. So thank you guys so much for being here today and taking the time out of your day to tell your stories, and really, you know, put this whole program into perspective, and show your your passion and excitement as much as my passion and excitement is around this. And I know Andrea's and Meredith's and everyone else's. So keep it up. And I think you guys are going to be excited about some of the things that we're working on too, based on your feedback and based on the things that you guys have already said today even. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Tasha, and thank you so much for your passion for this, because I always say that if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. So we take a lot of places. We get a lot of places by going together. So thank you for that. And I want to open it up for questions. I know we've almost gone a whole hour, so if you guys are okay, I'd like to, open it up and see if anybody has any comments, any questions for our apprentices, or anything at all. Just feel free to come off your mic or type in the chat.
Hey guys, it's Meredith. Where I am, I don't have great internet connection, so I've got my camera off, so I apologize. But I am so excited to see y'all's faces. I taught public school for many years before coming on with On Track, and so I had that same kind of relationship with those kids where I would be with them and then you follow their journeys for what's next. And so I feel like I have that with you girls. I've seen you come through the apprentice program and now you're on the cusp of what's next. And I just feel like a proud mom to just watch you. And I know that there is so much ahead of y'all and I'm just so excited to watch it unfold. So, congratulations, girls.
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you for everything that, you've worked on in this program and helping to build those levels because obviously I think all of our apprentices mentioned how important having those tiers were. And I think that we've got some really great feedback to come back to the table and work on. So I'm excited that you have all shared, some really important insight with us. Thank you all for that. Is there anybody else who'd like to ask any questions? I see some great comments here in the chat. I don't know if you guys have been looking, but Miss Augusta says you all have great dreams, best of luck, and well said. An overnight success takes years to happen. And let me tell you, it really does. Congrats and well done from our team member Kim. Dream big and keep up the hard work. So I
Um,
think we're good
I
unless
do have a I
go
do
ahead.
have a question. I'm an
Go ahead.
on-track student and I am 17. My name is Kristen. And I was looking into the apprenticeship program because I have no idea what I'm going to do for my future. And I think my family races. I was just introduced to motocross maybe 2 years ago. And I think it's really cool, but I don't know much about the sport. But after hearing y'all stories and seeing that it's not just motocross and it's also like all of the networking and everything like that, I think it seems like such a fun thing to get into because my biggest thing is I don't want to be stuck behind a desk. I don't want to be bored. And I was just curious because y'all mentioned that y'all are in college and stuff. How do you put yourself through that? Like, what kind of jobs are y'all doing in order to like make the money to support yourselves, or like, what are y'all support systems?
So,
That's a great question. Who wants to go for it?
Okay, I'll answer first. I didn't have this job. I got it when I graduated college, but through college, I did like social media management. I ran my local tracks page as well as I ran Budds Creek Motocross Park, whatever it's called. I ran their social media as well. So I feel like if you're into like promotions, marketing, media, a really great option in college. Get involved with your college's clubs that they offer because I know my professors did a lot for me, just like getting myself out there on LinkedIn and platforms like that, and even just throughout the school. Um, I wouldn't, I know Kira, she might be a better person to answer for this since she is doing Supercross and in college, which is insane. And I give her so much props for that because it's intense. So just finding the little connections while you're in college to help build to the bigger ones. I promise you, people might say they have it figured out at 17, but most of us don't. And most of us, even in our 20s, don't. So don't stress that you're behind because you're not. Find those little outlets if your parents are involved in a certain track or series, see how you can get involved with them and help them out, and then use those connections to kind of build your way up to the top. If you guys come to Loretta's, the apprenticeship program is the perfect way to start. You don't have to do the rest of your life what you do in the apprenticeship program. You can do it for the next couple years and figure out which outlet you like best. And I know we're always willing to work with you on helping you find your way through that as well. We want to help you find what you enjoy most. It doesn't come easy. So that's what the apprenticeship program is really for, is finding out what you love and what you don't, which is totally okay.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Zoe. I took an internship to my senior year of high school because we offered a class, like On Track does, where you kind of the same type of thing. But I did mine at a news station, and even though I knew, like I've known I've always wanted to go into motocross or like some type of, I knew it was motocross, but like I knew I wanted like that faster pace job. Like at the news station though, I still learned a lot of like important information, but I also learned too what I didn't want. And I think that's like a big thing about it with On Track too. You're able to do different things throughout the week to really find your niche thing, and then that like last few days you're able to stick with what you like really found your passion for, like really like to do. So even if it's something like where, I mean, I don't know, maybe like mechanics. Like I honestly said that I would do that. I just wanted to be a part of it that bad. But I'm like, even then, you're still like meeting new people and like getting your name out there. But I would just say like take the chance, like even if it's not necessarily something you want to like set in stone, like to help find your way.
To piggyback off of both of them, like Zoe said, I am currently like full-time student in person and working Supercross, which I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I'm busier than I ever thought I would be in my entire life. So I think biggest advice would be to apply for like the on track apprentice program at Loretta's and start there, because it's like that opens so many different doors, and like they both said, like do whatever presents itself. And like you also, the cool part about it is, yes, you get accepted like doing a specific thing. Like for me it was announcing, but then like once I got into the program and I sat down and had a conversation with like Andrea and Tasha and Meredith and everyone who's involved in it, they're like, well, if that's not what you want to do the whole week and you get there and you don't like it, like we can work with you, we can figure out how to put you in different things throughout the week so you get a little bit of everything if you really want that. Because I know, at least for me, like I started in announcing because that's what I like thought was like, oh, that's gonna be super cool, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it's also not what I want to do for a career because I've never raced. And I think that's a really big thing when you're announcing races and calling play-by-play on races, is not having ever raced. You can't talk like, I can talk the talk of the sport, but I can't talk like I know what I'm talking about when I'm racing because I've never raced, if that makes sense. So then like when we got to do the GPF thing, me and Savannah got to do podium interviews, and like that was super cool because I was like, oh, if I'm ever gonna do on mic stuff, that would be like what I want to do, is like podium interviews or sideline. And then I know last year at Loretta is like what Savannah was talking about when she was saying like having things for us to do throughout the week. Like they sent me out and they were like, okay, go talk to 3 riders and come back. And when they're racing, whatever race that they had me pick riders from, we're gonna have you like spotlight 3 of the different riders that you went out and talked to. So it's like just doing little things like that. You meet so many different people and like it opens so many different doors. Um, but yeah, that would be like my best advice to you. But we don't all have it figured out. I know we have a lot of like information to give and like a lot of advice, but like I'm freshly I'm gonna be 21 in 4 months. I'm 20. Like it's taken a lot to get to where we are, and like we're all still building on what we have. And I think a lot of us are really lucky to have the support we have from On Track. And like I'm also really lucky I have support from my parents while I'm going to school. And like it's all about your support system. And like I mean everyone I've worked with in On Track, like they all support me. All the people I've met through On Track, like it's building the support system along with meeting new people that I think is gonna be your best bet.
Yeah, I'm gonna come from like a little different side because I'm kind of in the same boat you're in. I'm going to college in the fall. I'm only 18. This is scary and a lot of things are happening. One thing that like I can say that's been a little different for me is because I've grown up, I've worked at a motocross track since I was 13. Um, and getting out, and even if your family's racing or you don't really know much about it, you can contact a track, go through their Facebook, call their phone number, do it all, because every single track needs help, like almost every single one. I've flagged, I've picked up the trash. Davey Coombs will firsthand tell you he started his journey picking up trash at a motocross track, and he owns Racer X now. Like, you just kind of need to build your way up if you want to make money. You can make pretty good money working at some local tracks on the weekends, once you build up your skills. And like having the apprenticeship program for me has definitely boosted some of the money that I get on the weekends. I mean, I just work weekend to weekend, traveling all over Michigan and maybe Illinois and Ohio, but it's worth it and it is good extra money. So just reaching out and not being afraid to put yourself out there has gotten me a lot farther than I thought I would. But yeah.
Tristan, what do you think about all that amazing advice?
I just think that it's so cool. Like what all y'all are doing is crazy to me to think that that could be my life. I'm sorry. That could be my life in like just a year or 2 years. And I'll be graduating at Loretta's this year as well. I'll be walking the stage, and I have flagged before. I've flagged for Swan, and I know some of the people, and um I'm also kind of really shy, so it's been a different experience talking to all the people that come in and out of the motocross community. And my parents just built a track out in I'm sorry, I just blanked. But my family also owns a track. We just did an Awful Eight race, and I worked the gate, and so it's crazy to see all the different people coming from like Canada that are just coming to race these small series and stuff. But I just love all the advice that y'all gave. It's encouraging. It's less stressful, I would say, when you get to see that there are success stories. Like you may fail or you may have to start small, but it takes you places. Like it doesn't always fail.
Right. And if you don't fail, you're not learning, right? So the whole mindset with failure has to change. I have failed dozens of times. On track wouldn't be here if I didn't. So you have to really forgive yourself. But you know what, Tristan, I just really appreciate the fact that you took your mic on and you asked that question and you took advantage of an opportunity to learn from others. That's amazing. And I will see you on the stage at Loretta's. How exciting is that?
Yes, Sam, I'm so excited. It's crazy because um I have a lot of family everywhere. I have family in Houston and I have family in Portland, Texas, and it's crazy because they're all like, "You're graduating a year early," and so everyone wants to fly to Tennessee, and so it's crazy, and I'm just so excited.
Hey, it's a great place to go. Even though, we have students that have families that travel there and they don't even race. But heck, I mean, it's Loretta's and there's Nashville and there's Franklin and there's wonderful places and caverns and all kinds of things, and places to go. So, I think that Kira's right. I think that looking into applying, and I know Zoe and Miss Tasha can talk, and Miss Meredith can talk to you more about that. It is open. I think applications are still open on our website. I think that is wonderful. And you're graduating, you probably already have your credits, but we have a class. I don't know if you've taken it. And you get to have little snippets of, what the different areas are. But I would also tell you, Sydney is a great contact for you. You know, these girls can start mentoring you, right? I mean, that's what it's about. We always believe it on track. It's about empowering, engaging, and excelling. We have to empower each other. And like Tasha said, we got some powerhouse women in the house. So I'm super excited about that too. And then we engage, and then together we excel. So thank you again for asking that, Tristan. And thank you to these amazing young women who have shared some really great insight with our audience. And with that, I'll just say any closing comments from anybody on the team here?
Keep grinding. Just keep working towards what you want. Just like days are hard, but you got it. Like you just gotta keep going. Like I would say that's just my biggest thing. Like you just gotta just keep up the grind.
That's right. I agree with that.
I was just gonna say real quick, I know speaking for myself, and I would guess Savannah, Sydney, and Zoe would all say the same thing. Tristan, if you have questions or if anyone has questions, like you guys are more than welcome to reach out to us, and like we will all answer you and talk to you about like anything you want, because I know it's scary, and like I know what it's like to like not know anyone and like be shy, because like I'm not the biggest person on like reaching out, and I give you credit for even asking a question on the Zoom because I wouldn't have done that. But like it seriously, like you're more than welcome to reach out to any of us, and like we will like answer your questions. And yeah, so
Thank you for that, Kira. I love that. So,
Yeah, I'll just kind of say something to end. Um, it's really scary to go into this world of motocross where you may not know everything. I mean, I didn't race, I don't know everything about the sport, but you can keep learning. And one thing is like you got to fake it till you make it. You may have to put a smile on when you're really scared or what's going on, but you just got to keep going. So, what Savannah said, keep working, don't stop. But I think everybody has an opportunity and they just need to take it. So,
thank you for that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of strong women behind the scenes that really make our sport go round. We're not always seen and applauded, but we're there. And I think that's important to note, like to not be intimidated because it is a male dominated industry. We need more people across the board, but the more females, the better. And just don't be afraid to fail and take as many risks as you can. And what's meant to be at the end of the day will be. So you just have to trust in that.
Thank you all. I think I'll have to come to you guys for advice too. It just make me smile. So thank each of you for taking the time to join our February podcast. Zoe, this was an amazing idea and inspiration. And I know that so many that listen to this later are going to just learn so much. So thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. If we want to stop